Hey there. It's nice to be with you guys this week again. We have a very busy week at our house, and I hope at your house everything is fine and good. I'm here today with my friend Chelsea Blackbird from the Christian Nutritionist. I've been eagerly waiting to have Chelsea on, and I'm so glad you could make it today. Hello, Chelsea.
Hi, good to see you, and thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, good. Well, I've been on your show. You've spoken for us, and it has taken too long for us to get you scheduled, but here we are. And, I think most people would expect that we would be talking about nutrition because we always talk about nutrition. But there are other aspects to our health that you talk about and I like to talk about. And I want to really start to dig into some of those things that are really important. So, yes, what we put into our body in terms of what we eat and what we drink is very important, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. But the rest may be new to some people.
Yeah, there's a lot more to it.
There's a lot more to it. Before we get rolling, though, Chelsea, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and how that you came to be the Christian nutritionist?
Sure. So I've been working in the health space for about 12 years now. And it really, as most people, a lot of people, I'll say, come to the holistic health space because they're kind of at the end of their rope. They've kind of hit brick walls with the conventional medical system, and that was me. I grew up with just a lot of digestive issues, which frankly I just thought were normal because that was in my family. So digestive issues. I have a genetic skin condition that hit me around puberty, and spent, gosh, almost 20 years going to doctors, doing all of these things, every pill, every cream, shots, major surgery that put me down for a week till finally it was like kind of done everything. There's nothing more we can do. And so I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm just going to have to live with this skin condition for the rest of my life. But it wasn't until I was married and ready to start a family and I got the diagnosis of unexplained infertility, which means they don't know what's wrong with you, right? Mm-hmm. And so they were just ready to put me on that infertility path. And I was like, all right, whatever I got to do. I want to be a mom if that's what I need to do. My husband was not agreeable to that. And he is a cattle rancher. And I remember him saying to me at that time, he's like, these things take time, babe. It's just like my cows. My heifers, they don't always get bred. It takes time. I'm like, are you comparing me to the heifers? Are you kidding me? Anyway, that was kind of a stressful time in our marriage because I wanted to do the fertility treatments. He did not. But what that forced me to do was to do research and look into solutions. Like, what can I do? Is there anything I can do? Came upon some dietary changes I could make. I found a holistic doctor, a naturopathic doctor, went to him. He changed my diet. I read a book called Taking Charge of Your Fertility and tweaked a few things, did some things to kind of help track my cycle. And I was pregnant within 6 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I could have gone through that entire infertility journey. And I know that's some people's journey, but that's obviously not what I needed. I needed nutrition. I needed my body to feel safe and feel like it had everything it needed to grow a baby. And I needed to have that, the right timing and know my body and know my cycle, which I didn't know at all. And so all of those things together just made me extremely passionate about learning about this, these things and how, like, if people should know this, right? People should know that changing your diet and doing these things can really change your life. And lo and behold, when I made those changes, what happened? My skin condition went away. My digestive issues got better. So everything changed.
Yeah.
I was so thrilled, but I was also I was kind of ticked off because I'm like, why did any doctor ever ask me what I ate? Ever.
Yeah, I know. And because they don't realize, well, doctors don't study nutrition.
No.
In school. They get a few hours of macro and micro nutrition and that's it. And so they're really missing the biggest key to the puzzle of people's health. We interviewed Lily Nichols back, I think in May. And she'd written Real Food for Gestational Diabetes, which I had already read. but she also wrote Real Food for Fertility and Real Food for Pregnancy. And she really hits it. She's a registered nutritionist and a diabetic nutritionist, a certified, I don't remember all of the acronyms, but yeah, she's trying to help people see too that you just have to put the right things into your body. Usually,
Yeah.
nutrition usually fixes whatever problem.
Yeah, a lot of it. And so it was really after that and learning that I just got passionate about studying, about this. And finally, I was reading so many books and studying so much. I thought, I probably could have earned a degree by now with all that I've done. So I ended up going back to school to get my nutrition certification, became a nutritional therapy practitioner at that time, and really I had no plans to do anything with it. I just really wanted the information for me. I wanted my family and my friends to listen to me because nobody would listen to me. And I thought, have some kind of, letters behind my name. Maybe they will. They still don't always. But anyway. But then I just felt God. I felt God calling me and just to call myself the Christian Nutritionist. And at that time, every time I would read scripture, all I could see was health advice. It was like he put a lens over my eyeballs, like every verse to me, I could see health in it. And
that's interesting because I'm the same way.
Yeah.
And have been for decades.
I know. And it's beautiful. And it's like, and it made me just kind of rediscover and reconnect to God's word. And I just felt him calling me to do that and to share with people that, he's the one that created our body, and who knows better what the body needs than our creator. And so
I agree.
Yeah. And so that's how it started. And I was really focused on nutrition for many years until I'd say about 5 years ago, I just kind of had this Holy Spirit download, you know how he does, just kind of this thought in your head that is not your own because you wouldn't have it.
I know.
And but kind of just the thought, the way it formed was in my head was the Genesis prescription, and that everything that we need to know for good health is laid out in the creation story in Genesis.
Yeah.
So that got me looking and digging into that. And as you said in the lead-in, nutrition is such a big part of that. But God also made us to interact with water, with the sun, with the earth. He made us to have calm breath and rest and fellowship. Now, the creation of plant and animal foods is in there, right? But the food part is only one part of our entire creation story, and the way that we were created and the way that we were created to synergistically work with his creation. Plant and animal foods are only one piece of that. And so that led me into the study of kind of all the other pieces that we need to be well. And that has been just such a passion of mine to put all of it together, all of the pieces, the food, the lifestyle, and just really respecting and honoring the way he made our bodies.
Amen. I'm glad that you're seeing these things and that you're doing something about it, because the more I learn, the more I understand how critically important these other aspects to health are. And I know that none of us would argue that our spiritual health isn't first and foremost. Of course it is. But from a physical standpoint, there are other aspects. And the things that we need don't have to come from a bottle or a multi-level company.
Yeah.
I'll throw that out there because I have had a lot of people in the last couple of months reach out to me with one particular product. And I'm thinking, why would I spend hundreds of dollars a month when I can go walk barefoot outside in the morning sun with my eyes uncovered and all of that? So yeah, we don't need expensive gadgets and expensive products.
Right.
What we need, God gives us for free. So let's talk about that. Why don't we start with water?
Okay, sure. Yes, you're exactly right. I would say God did not make our healing inaccessible. He made it so accessible to us that people just don't realize it. So with water, starting with water, we're all pretty aware that we need to stay hydrated, that our bodies are mostly made of water, that we need, salt, we need minerals in our water. But there's a special water that our body makes. And I think of it like the living water, like Jesus calls himself the living water.
Yeah.
That is our spiritual living water. And then God made us with living water inside of us. And so during the metabolic process, our body makes this water that becomes negatively charged inside of us and acts as a huge protectant against toxins, against pathogens. It gives us a negative charge, and we need a negative charge to be healthy. Most people don't realize that, but our body, we are electrical beings, and we need to be in a net negative charge. I mean, we need more electrons than protons. It's really as simple as that. And when we properly make this water inside of us, and then we also get the other things that we'll be talking about, sunshine and grounding. We create this negative charge, this special kind of water, this gel water inside of us that acts as a battery for our bodies. It gives us life. It powers every cell. And so learning about this water that's made inside of us, it's a fairly new scientific discovery. And so again, it's something that, science discovers. They didn't always know. We have to kind of reframe a lot about the way we look at the body. And then the first thing that I see, and I think anybody who knows God and respects the way he made our body, is like it's living water, and he is our living water. And I find so many matches like that, like the scripture, the spiritual scripture, and where it matches up with the way he made us physically.
Yeah, I think that's really important and really cool.
So cool.
So a lot of people would call this water inside of our bodies the fourth phase of water.
They do. Yes.
If you want to delve deeply, you can go into the Weston A. Price Foundation website and look up the fourth phase of water. There are several articles, but one in particular about this. So we're all familiar with liquid, frozen, and gas. So what we're talking about right at this moment is this fourth phase, which is more of a gel phase.
Correct.
Yeah. And who knew?
Oh, well, that's right. Right. And it just goes to show you that science is always discovering, new things. So it's pretty relative. But yeah, it is the fourth phase of water. It's also known as easy water. It's got a lot of different names, which kind of makes it confusing. But Gerald Pollack is the original one who did all the study on it and really called it this, this fourth phase of water, this easy water. And it's amazing. And here's why, this is so important. We bring it back to food. And when we talk about having a negative charge and the way that's so important to our body is that when we think about food and the food that we're eating, a lot of what we're doing there is trying to pull electrons from food to make energy. And what we have learned is that this easy water battery inside of us, this fourth phase of water, this easy water, it acts like a battery in our cell. And so our body is not meant to totally rely on food to get energy. But when we don't have a good easy water battery, and we can talk about how we build that up through sun and grounding, when we don't have a good easy water battery, we are more reliant on getting these electrons from food, which drives you to eat more food than maybe that your body needs, because it needs that electrical charge. It is craving that electrical charge. It needs to make energy. It is driving you to eat. And here you have all these people thinking, I have horrible willpower. I'm just, when really it's not that. It's that they need to we need to use all the ways that God made our body to produce energy. And that is a huge one, is that easy water.
Yeah. Yeah. And for all of the metabolic processes in the body.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's when our body stops producing electricity that we die. And the water, this easy water or fourth phase of water, is really critical to that.
Yes.
What are some things that negatively impact the formation of that gel phase?
Sure. So, well, first and foremost, toxins. Toxins, one, can kind of smother the way that we can hold on to electrons. And so that is part of it. We need to have enough water. We need to be drinking enough water. We need to have good mitochondria. Mitochondria is what makes this water in the first place. So there's a difference between the water that we drink, like you were saying, and the water that we make through the metabolic process. But we do need to have enough bulk water to do that. Being disconnected from nature, that's probably one of the biggest things that is impeding our body's ability to keep this easy water battery. Being disconnected from nature, being indoors too much, getting too much artificial light, and these different Wi-Fi signals really interrupt and disrupt that easy water process.
And that in particular, that last thing is something that should not be overlooked. We don't see the Wi-Fi signal or the cell phone radiation or the electromagnetic energy that's all around us because we have electricity, and then the lights. Well, we're going to get into light. That's another topic. We don't see these entities. It's all invisible, and yet it has a very powerful impact negatively on our bodies, beginning with the formation of that water inside our bodies.
Right. Yes, exactly. We don't see that, but we also don't see a lot of the things that do good, like the way the sun, the electrons going in our body, the sun rays, right? Like the good electromagnetic rays. So I want to read this Bible verse that I love from Romans. It says, "For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen and understood by what he has made."
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just it's a beautiful way to remember that just because we can't see these things, whether they are positive or negative, they're there. They are all around us. We don't necessarily see God, right? But we feel him, we know him, we see him through what he has made. And what we want to look for are these ways he made us to be well, these things that he put in nature that are healing, that may be invisible to us in the way that they're working, but they are indeed working, as are these forces that we don't see, these electromagnetic waves and all of these things that are impacting us negatively. So we have to be aware that all of that is happening around us, even though we can't see it.
Yeah. And it's, for instance, a reason why you don't want to sleep at night with your cell phone beside your bed, by your head.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to, well, getting out in nature. Let's talk about some of the positive ways that we can affect this. And when we talk about nature, we're going to get into the other sunlight and grounding as well, I know. So I'm going to let you lead on that. But so if we know that these things negatively impact us, and both from the standpoint of preventing this proper structure of water within our bodies, which then affects every metabolic process, but other ways as well. So we're surrounded by all of these energies that are not helpful, but are actually harmful. So what do we do about it? And what are some other good things that God has given us that our bodies need?
Right. And it's because we live a life primarily indoors today. Think back to our biblical ancestors. Where were they mostly? They were outside, right? Mm-hmm. They were outside all the time. And that's the major disconnect, because it is outdoors where God has his creation that has all of these wonderful, I always call it like a healing chamber. You just step outside and you, from above and from below, you are sandwiched between the healing arms of God and his creation. So we'll start with the sunshine, right? And I always like to say, we need the sun and we need the sun. We need the sun. We need Jesus. He gives us spiritual life. He also gives us physical life, but he made the sun as part of what gives physical life to all living forms, plants, animals, humans. We need sunlight for so many, in so many ways. You know, we are hardwired hormonally by light. So the way that our body knows when to make hormones, when our body knows when to digest food, when our body knows the best time to be active or have, cognitive function or have the right kind of bacteria present in the day, every physical process in our body is on a time clock that is driven by light, outdoor natural light. That is called our circadian rhythm. And when we go outside, there's all of these, this light energy that we can't see, but if you can see the sun, it is out there. When the sun is out, there's all these electromagnetic rays from the sun that are signaling our body both through our eyes and through our skin. Those are the major portals through which it comes in. So when we get sun in our eyes, I like to say that there's 4 key times a day that we want to get outside: sunrise, UVA rise, UVB, and sunset. Those are 4 key times. And when you get out at those different times of the day, the sun is signaling different things to happen in your body. So when you see sunrise, you go outside at sunrise, you can't really perceive it, but that's when blue light is entering the atmosphere. What is blue light? Blue light tells us to make cortisol, right?
Yep. And that is our get up and go.
Wake up. Yep. That is our get up and go hormone. And blue light is present throughout the rest of the day. And then at sunset, it goes away. And so that's that blue light presence. When we're outdoors at sunrise, it tells our body to wake up and to make cortisol and to stop making melatonin, which is important. But it's also telling our body, hey, in about 12 hours, you're going to need to make melatonin again. So that's really important. And so I always, to put that into practicalness for people who are cortisol dysregulated, which is, I'd say, most of the population, has some kind of adrenal stress dysfunction, poor output and management of cortisol, because we're all stressed out all the time. One of the things that you can do to help balance your cortisol is to get out, see the sunrise at, when it's coming up. For me right now, it's about 7 o'clock in the morning. Just be outside. And you won't perceive it, but your eyes will perceive that change, and it goes into your brain and tells the rest of your body, hey, it's time to wake up. It's time to start digesting. It's time to do all these things and get ready for your day. So that's a big one. I love the sunrise.
Yeah. And before you go on, let's talk about some things that we shouldn't do that people commonly do when they go outside, because there are 2 things.
Yep. Yeah. So when you go outside, you need to have what we call naked eyes. For one, you don't want to be wearing anything over your eyes. Unfortunately, contact lenses, sunglasses, regular glasses, anything like that is going to block the way that those signals get into your eyes and hit the back of your brain. So you're going to miss that signal. Yep. So that's a big one. What else were you thinking of? Something else?
Sunscreen.
Oh, yeah. Well, yes, absolutely. Getting for your skin, absolutely. It blocks every signal through your skin. And in the morning, a lot of people think of using sunscreen more in the middle of the day to protect from those UVA and UVB rays. But here's the thing, especially in the morning, we're getting infrared and red light in the morning. And one of the best things you can do to help condition your skin so that it doesn't burn when it's exposed to the UVA and UVB is to get the infrared and red on your skin. Most people are just kind of jumping out in the middle of the day and getting sun on their bodies, but you prep it. If you get that infrared and red from that more early morning light and a little more UVA, it's like it's building up our solar callus, is that what we call it. So you're able to tolerate that midday exposure that's so important for helping us to make vitamin D. Sunscreen absolutely blocks those rays getting through your skin, and that's unfortunate. So sunglasses, and sunscreen, which is hard for people because we've had it drilled into our heads. Protect your eyes, protect your skin, right?
Well, and if our adrenal glands are weak, our eyes are going to be more sensitive to bright sunlight.
That's
so
correct.
That should be a key clue that we need to work on adrenal health. But if we really need to tone down the sun, wear a hat.
Exactly.
Because you're not blocking then.
Right. You can wear a hat and still get the sunlight. Another kind of fascinating thing is when you block the sun coming in your eye, right? So you're blocking the sun coming in your eye, but you're getting on your skin. There's a mismatch, right? So if you are outside and say you don't have sunscreen on, but you have sunglasses on, well, you're giving your body mixed signals because the sun on your skin saying, oh, it's about noon, it's about 2 o'clock in the day. Your body can read time by what time the sun is, but your eyes in darkness, it's telling your body it's a totally different time of day. So it's preventing you from making some of that melanin that really helps protect your skin And so we want to give our body those right signals, both through the eye and through the skin. We want those to match. And when we do that, the body also will tolerate sunlight much, much better.
I had never thought about that, but it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I noticed many years ago that changed the burn factor, I'm Norwegian primarily, German, Irish. So my skin is naturally fair. And I used to burn a lot when I was young. But when I started to eat a lot of saturated fat, it seemed that the sunburns stopped also. So there's a factor there.
Yes, taking seed oils out of the diet is a big one. And really just, the better diet you have, the better you'll be able to tolerate it. I always say, like, fire on the inside equals more fire on the outside. So when you're more inflamed on the inside, with processed food, you are more likely to burn on the outside. But when you're giving your body real food, real fats, real colorful food, these antioxidants, you're giving your body like a natural sunscreen, a natural protectant from getting burned.
That's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that our viewers are paying attention to that and thinking on it, because this is very contrary to what we're told, just like a lot of other useful health information. But it's so important. So we need the sun's rays. I have a dog that wakes me up at daybreak. And I go out, I get up and I go out barefooted. I let the chickens out and I walk around in the grass barefoot for 10 or 20 minutes every morning. And then I do that a couple of other times a day. But I'm trying to get my husband to do it more too. He always has shoes on and he really needs to have that barefoot connection. But that morning sunlight, I also wear contacts, but I don't put them in until much later in the morning when I really need them.
Yes. If you can hold off, then yes, that's better. We want to get as much of that sun in through the eye. Another thing is to kind of link it back to water, to our easy water. The infrared and red light, one amazing thing that does for that water inside of us, for our easy water battery, it expands that area. It makes it bigger to hold more of that electron charge, to make a bigger battery, essentially. And then UV light actually gives us more electrons in that space. So the sunlight is contributing to that easy water, that fourth phase of water, that easy water battery that we need, giving them electrons. So see, it all works together, which is, of course, the way that God made us.
I know, it's just perfect. He's perfect. We're perfect because he designed us.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. It's so cool. Like every time I talk about it, I'm just like, this is the coolest thing ever. It's just amazing.
I agree. It is amazing and it is cool. And I wish that I wish we could go back to living primarily outside. Like, I'm sure your husband is outside more than inside.
Yes, he is. He is outside a lot. But I've had to change, don't wear the sunglasses, there's a lot that I've had to change for him. But yeah, he's outdoors most of the day, which lucky him.
Yeah. Yeah. Lucky him for sure.
Yeah.
We have windows everywhere, but all of the windows now have a glaze on them to block some of those important rays.
Yeah, they block a lot of the infrared and red light, and so that's unfortunate. Old-timey windows before it had all these. Really, what it's doing is trying to save energy. The new windows, but it's blocking, like you said, it's blocking that full spectrum. And so when we're inside, when we're indoors, this is the other major problem, is that we're getting an unnatural amount of blue light, and it's artificial blue light. It's not the same as when we're outside getting blue light, because we also have the presence of infrared and red, which kind of buffers it. Balances, buffers, doesn't make it just a straight shot of blue. When we're inside, when we're on our computers, our phone screens, our TVs, it is all these LED lights, it is a straight shot of blue. What does that tell your body to do? Make cortisol. Whether you're outside and getting the blue, it's making cortisol, but when you're inside, constantly getting that blue light, and it's really bad at night after sunset when we're not naturally designed to be getting blue light, but we're getting it from our screens. Our body is still trying to crank out cortisol because it's getting the signal to do that.
Yeah. Wow. We're really harming ourselves.
Yeah. And that's
Doing good things, but
yeah, it does. And that does not help your adrenal health at all. You know, I mean, people are always you hear adrenal health and adrenal fatigue. It's very buzzy, right? And people are working on that. But that's probably one of the biggest stressors on the adrenal glands, and that cortisol dysregulation is all the unnatural blue light that people get at night. There is no red light to help protect it and give it a natural signal. So that is a big one. That's a big one.
Yeah. So let's pay attention to that and remember that, because I agree, it is very, very harmful. We have a TV in our bedroom. We turn it on a couple nights a week before we go to bed to watch a show, not really often. And we don't have our main TV on all that much. I turn it on and listen to things while I'm working, but I think most people are used to being, I'm at my computer more than I want to be, honestly, but most people are used to being in front of their screens, and whether it be a phone or an iPad or a TV. We're really harming ourselves with all of this.
Yeah, a couple of things you can do. I have red light filters on all of my screens. So, you know, right now I have a red light filter on my computer. I have it on my phone. There's a lot of ways you can do it. I use a technology called iris technology, and it just keeps that red light filter on there. You can also use blue light blocking glasses, amber glasses in the evenings. That's really helpful. I have those as well, and have pairs for my family when I can get them to wear them. But that is also, I mean, you know, by the nature of our modern lives, I mean, we're not going back to biblical times or old timey days, right? Where we're not going to have TVs and screens. So we have to, you know, adapt and bring in maybe some of these things that help us do that. So I really am a fan of blue light blocking glasses and using these kind of filters and stuff.
Well, the red filter, you use that. Why? That's
to help tone down and buffer some of that direct blue.
Okay. All right.
So we're trying to balance out not just that straight shot of bright blue light.
So it's not filtering the red light, it's buffering the blue light.
Yes. So putting the red screen on there, the filter, helps not make that blue light so strong right in your eyeball and tell your body, make cortisol.
Now, there's a setting on the phone, and I've lost it. I had it on for a while. I should have looked this up. Do you know how to find it?
To find the red light filter on your phone. Yeah, they're in settings. There's programs too. Like if you search, you know, on your computer, if you search for how to make your screen red, there's all kinds of instructions where you can plug it in. But one is display and brightness. On your phone, you can set a night shift for it to, the night shift to come on. You can change the colors on there. So it's kind of all that display area under your phone in the settings. And that's an easy way to do it. I keep mine on red all the time. So my screen always looks pink, and I'm just used to it now.
I'm going to actually change mine from sunset to sunrise too all the time.
Yeah.
And 7 a.m. to 7 a.m.
Yeah, just keep them on all the time. You get used to it. It's kind of weird at first because everything looks pink, but you get used to it.
I think when I changed my phone that I lost that setting. It didn't come back on automatically, so I wasn't sure how to do it. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Now other people know as well. Okay, so we've talked about water. We've talked about sunlight. Now the third piece of this puzzle.
Yes, grounding. So I'll just mention, you know, when we're thinking of that Genesis prescription, when we're thinking of the creation story, these three things come before food. And you can't have food without these things, right? Water, earth, and sun. And that's what makes food. So I always think like these things are actually as important or more important than food in my order of prescription. But so the ground, earthing, God made the earth. God made the earth full of electrons. The earth's surface is a reservoir of electrons, which is replenished by lightning. And so we can go outside barefoot, get in touch with the surface of the earth, with grass, on dirt, even sand, or even concrete. Concrete is somewhat conductive. It's a little less conductive, but you can get, if you have a, concrete over the ground, you can do that. Bodies of water, natural bodies of water. These are all full of electrons that when we are in touch with that, the electrons just start flowing in our body. This is one that's hard for people to get, because they're just, you want to see that, but you can't see it. They're just flowing in the body. The second that you get grounded, and it's pulling electrons and moving into that beautiful, easy water battery and getting stored in there, going to sites of inflammation in the body, which is, I think that part is really amazing, because it's, the body instinctively knows that those areas of inflammation are positively charged. And when the electrons, they know where they need to go to kind of neutralize that. So wherever that might be in the body, those electrons are going to flow to those areas of inflammation, which I think that's just an amazing way that God designed us. I think that's just incredible.
Yeah, it is incredible. It's why if you go to the beach and you walk barefoot in the surf, it's why it just, even instantly, it just feels good.
Yes. The beach is probably one of the absolute best places, because you've got, you're getting the sun, you're getting the earth, the water makes you more conductive. And so it is just, again, so healing from so many angles. And, I don't know about you, but every time I go to the beach and you're outside all day and then you're just kind of worn out, you're so tired at night. And that is because it is setting your circadian rhythm. It is telling your body when to make cortisol, when to make melatonin. And so you will just sleep so much better when you are giving your body all these inputs, when you give your body the natural light and the electrons. When you stand on the ground, you're also giving your body through the magnetic field a place kind of where it is in time and space. And that is a signal of safety to the body. So this is also so good for the nervous system, and just being outside in general is so good for the nervous system. I feel like we're hearing so much more about nervous system dysregulation and how, without really addressing that, nothing else in the body can be healed. So one of the best things you can do is to give your body these signals of safety, which is to know where it is in time and space through sunlight. Everything is working right through the circadian rhythm, pulling plenty of healing electrons, standing on the earth. It just makes so much sense.
Yeah. Well, it really does. And it makes sense up here, but you feel it in your body when you're experiencing it as well. Now, I know that through all of the thousands of years that people have lived, that typically they were walking either barefoot or maybe wearing leather.
Right.
Whereas rubber, I have my favorite clogs here, my Taos clogs, but they've got a rubber sole. And I think these clogs are so perfect. They're felted wool. Why couldn't they just have a leather sole? Or like Zero Shoes and some other brands, they have a copper insert.
Right, a copper trivet. So yeah, you can buy grounding and earthing shoes, which is really, really handy. I love those. I have a pair of sandals I wear in the summer. I have a pair of tennis shoes I wear in the winter, but it does have to be on a conductive surface. I think a lot of people buy grounding shoes and then walk around in their house and think they're being grounded, but that's not the case. You still have to be outside on on the natural, grass or dirt or even concrete to be grounded. But those are really helpful. And you're right. I always love to reference time, like going back to biblical people, they were either going to be barefoot or they were wearing some kind of natural shoe that was still going to allow conductivity, still allow for that electron flow through even their clothing, right? It was all these natural fibers that would still allow some of that, that sun to, the sun to get in through some of the skin, somewhat blocked, but still have some of that sunshine exposure, grounding exposure through what they were wearing. They had so much more, their hands in the dirt and building and all of these things. They were just so much more connected to nature, to God's creation. And again, we are so disconnected and we are disconnected from health. And that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, it does. And the clothing and the fabrics is another fascinating area, which I've not delved into very much at all. I've just dabbled. I forget to look deeper, but you mentioned it, so I'll bring it up. I have read and heard some people speak about, well, the biblical dictate not to mix fabrics, and what fabric the ephod and the robes and the clothing of the priests were to wear. Very, very specific instructions. And I always wondered why that was. But in the last few years, I've started to learn about that and hear people talk about um, the conductivity of electrons, for instance, with linen, with cotton, with wool, and how all of that changes once you start wearing polyester and tencel, or you start mixing things. Do you know very much about that? Is that an area you've looked into
I
more?
don't know much more about it than what you just explained, but it is all of these artificial things, whether it's artificial food or it's artificial light or it's artificial fabric. It's all of these artificial things that are blocking us from the healing qualities of God's provision, of God's, of real food the way God made it, of real sunshine, of being in nature, on the ground and that kind of thing. But you're right, the fabrics are the same way. They block everything, and um, they're just problematic. They're problematic for a lot of reasons. They're kind of toxic in and of themselves, and anything that's near our skin all day, we're absorbing these things. And so I think it's an area that people need to be mindful of as well.
I agree. I completely agree. And I'm looking forward to delving more into all of the fabric thing as well, but I'm just not there right now. Um, it'll be something maybe we can find someone who's more knowledgeable and we can talk about it. But obviously God put everything together, as you said, even step by step in creation. Every day was what needed to be for the next day to work, next day and the next day. So all of his creation comes into play for our benefit.
Absolutely. Yeah. And our bodies are meant to work in relation to creation. And that's what people forget. We only think about being in relation to food, which is incredibly important, But
Yes.
again, just kind of like circling back on where we started, is not the only thing. That can get you very far. Frankly, it did a lot for me, right? I mean, when I started all those years ago, it was really only food that I really changed. Now I walked outside every day and I didn't even know I was doing something, but I wore sunglasses. But I've always been one to soak up the sun. I've always loved the sun, and it makes you feel so good. And I remember thinking over the years, how can something that makes me feel so good be so bad for me?
Yeah.
But it does give you those endorphins, and it gives you so many other things. I mean, we don't have time to talk about it today, but that UVA light in your eye helps regulate your thyroid hormone, your serotonin, making melatonin. There's so many things that the sun signals do, tons of things that we don't realize. And when we're outside and you just feel good, we need to lean into that and think, that makes sense. If you are ever not feeling good or stressed, go outside. It's just it's a game changer. It's just an instant mood changer, and it can just bring down that stress level so beautifully.
It can. Even just as you're talking, I'm remembering, I'm thinking about going outside, not necessarily no matter what weather, because there are some weather circumstances where you're not going to want to actually go outside in a thunderstorm. But I try to go out barefoot even in the wintertime. And one of our sons used to run. We had a half-mile long driveway, and he would run up and down the driveway every day. Didn't matter the season, rain or shine, barefoot.
That's awesome.
Wow, I wish I could do that. But he conditioned himself to that. But I remember too, my dad, I have a favorite photograph of my dad. He used to love to go out and shower in a summer rain.
Oh, how awesome.
And now I understand all of the literal physical benefits of doing that.
Yes.
And I try to do it now and then and take my grandchildren out. Honestly, selfishly, because I want them to experience some of that joy that my father felt and that we felt when we would go out in the rain with him. But there is a physical aspect to that as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yes. And, I get a lot of questions about, if I'm going outside in the morning, what if it's cloudy? What if there's a mountain blocking the sunrise? What if it's raining? And I tell people, if the sun is out, and we know it will be because God's going to put it there. If the sun is out and you don't have anything over your eyes, you can be over, sitting over a porch, covered porch and be outside. And it can be raining. You are still getting the benefit of that signal through your eyes. So just for listeners, people listening and watching, don't let that be a barrier. You can still get really good benefits just sitting on a covered porch. It'll still get in your eyes. Now you got to be in direct to get it on your skin, but in your eyes, you can still get those signals.
Yeah. So what would be your closing thoughts here then today? Maybe the 3 most important things. I already know what they are. We all know what they are, right?
Yes, absolutely. I would start with, going outside I always prioritize sunrise and UVA rise. Okay. Those are 2 really key times. And if you don't know when that is for you, you can download an app called Circadian, and it's free and it will tell you exactly when those times are. Go out for at least 3 minutes for sunrise. 20 minutes around UVA rise is ideal. And then ground for, the more you can do it, the better for all of this. But if you ground for 10 to 30 minutes a day, those 2 things are going to be game changers for your health. And they're going to help build that easy water. By doing those things, you're going to help be building your easy water battery inside. And so it's doing a lot for all 3 of those, in all 3 of those ways.
Good. Well, everyone listening, I really hope that you'll take this to heart and incorporate some of these suggestions and just be aware. We have one question, which is, what is your opinion, Chelsea, on pollutants affecting the quality of rain? Man, that is such a good question. Thank you.
Yeah, that is a good question. That's a tough one. I also get this question about, the Wi-Fi signals and pollutants in the ground and, and that kind of thing. I think in most cases, the benefits outweigh. The more we're getting the electrons, so the more net negative charge we are, and we have that easy water battery, it helps sequester toxins from our body. And so I do think that the benefits outweigh the.
Yeah, I would agree, but that is a tough thing. And of course, I know a lot of people don't like to even entertain the idea of cloud seeding or geoengineering, but people, it is real and it's been known. It hasn't been hidden; it's just been downplayed.
Yes,
it is real, and I am concerned about what is being sprayed. It's not the chemtrail is not the same as a contrail.
Yeah, they're doing everything they can to ruin God's creation, to ruin God's food, I think to interfere with the natural way that we can be healed. It's very scary.
It is very scary, but I trust in God.
So do I.
And I know that ultimately this world is not my home.
That's right. And I have a friend that always says, this is not a surprise to God. This is all these things happening. He is not surprised. So I believe his provision is bigger and stronger and more powerful than anything that they can do. And so when we always just turn into that as much as we can, we're going to be okay.
Yeah. If we don't keep that thought in mind,
we'll go nuts.
Yeah. There's so much to be troubled by in this world today.
Yeah.
Let's just keep our focus on God. That I always say God is in control, and God is in control. That doesn't mean that he's going to prevent the world from doing terrible things and destructive things. So what is the amount of time again for UVA and sunrise that you're recommending?
I mean, I like to say a minimum of 3 minutes, but honestly, any amount, I don't want time to be a barrier. Sometimes in the morning when I'm getting kids ready for school, I just open the door for like 20 seconds. If that's all I can manage, get sunlight in my, I will do that. Ideally, I try to get out for a minimum of 30 minutes at sunrise, and then around 20 minutes at UVA rise. That UVA rise is really, really powerful and impactful on hormones, on healing, on cravings, on managing metabolism. There's so much that goes into that. We could do an hour on UVA rise alone. And so that's a really key time of the day.
Okay. And that is more towards when the sun is higher in the sky.
A little bit higher. It's usually about an hour after sunrise. About an hour after sunrise is
Okay.
usually when that's happening. And I have, I'm really grateful. That's about the time I take my morning walk every day. I know everybody can't, that doesn't fit everybody's schedule because they're have, different jobs and things. They have to be at the office and such. But if you do work in an office, do the best you can just to get outside anytime you can, or open a window if you have that available to you. You may not, but if you can take any kind of break throughout the day, go outside during lunch. I've got people like grounding it outside during lunch, and they're showing me their pictures. Like, everybody thinks I'm weird, but I don't care. That's what I'm doing. And so it's okay. It's okay to be weird. I've been weird for 12 years since I've been doing this. But.
My family and me especially, have been weird for about the last 35, so it's okay. We can handle it. Erin grew up in a very weird household, and she attests to that often.
They're so funny.
We're weird in a good way, I think, now, and all of these things have one by one, they're catching on. So we won't be weird for that much longer.
I know. And it's sad that it seems weird to be out in nature and doing these things.
Yeah.
When that's how it's been for almost all of,
all of humanity,
all of life. And it's just in these modern times when we have all of these, inventions and things that have disconnected us from being outside. But anybody looking in from the past, like, what is happening here? This is weird.
Yeah. But I think that people 100 years ago, if they could see us today, would think we're weird. So not you and I, but everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So maybe we should say that the bottom line is be a weirdo, like JP Sears.
Go outside and be a weirdo. Just get your sun, take your shoes off. Oh,
yeah. Oh, I just love it. I love it.
I know.
Even
I've embarrassed my kids in many places taking my shoes off. Church service, weddings. They're like, Mom, what are you doing?
I know, me too. Same here. And I could go beyond that, but I won't. I would really embarrass my kids if I said more. So I'm zipping it. But wow, Chelsea, it's really been delightful spending time with you today. I'm very grateful. And I'm looking forward to having you again, both here and when we do another event. So
I'd love that. I would absolutely love it.
Well, in the meantime, where can people find you? And do you want to talk for a minute also about the program that you have? Well, you have a couple of programs.
Yeah. The best place to find me, I'm the Christian Nutritionist everywhere in social media. Probably one of the best places to learn from me is my podcast, the Christian Health Club podcast. I talk about this stuff all the time, and I love it. And then I have a program you can join, the Christian Health Club. Actually, where I do the Genesis prescription, and I do kind of all of these different programs that cover all of these things, and one thing I would tell people is just to do them, just do them one at a time. Like, don't feel overwhelmed. Like you got to go out and get all the sun and grounding all at once. It's just, you layer them in as you can. You learn about it. You become aware. You start building it into your day. And I think that's most effective. And just, again, not to feel overwhelmed by what's going on in the world and what people are doing to try to block us from doing this, or overwhelmed by time and things that you have to do. But just really embracing that this is such a beautiful way that God made us, and God is healing for us, and just to get outside and do it as you can, and don't overpressure yourself. Just enjoy it and embrace it.
I totally agree. And I look forward one day to walking barefoot in a garden and through the surf with you, my friend.
Oh, I'd love that. That'd be a blast.
Picking flowers and maybe feeding chickens or something. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be tending a garden, and maybe we all will. I don't know, but we'll be barefoot and enjoying the sunshine that is coming from God directly. So
that's right. The absolute eternal healing. I love it so much.
Me too. Well, thank you very much again.
Thank you for having me. I always love getting to talk to you and everything that you and your family are doing in the world. I just think it's beautiful, and I love knowing you, and I love the divine connections that God's made, and I just appreciate all that you do. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. I think I need to come visit you, so we might want to work on that.
Oh yes, please do come to the ranch.
Walk barefoot on the ranch. I'd
like absolutely.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.